Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Witchcrafter deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck just got some absolutely insane support out of Magnificent Mavens, giving us a new boss monster and a new fusion spell to summon her. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name scripted for any single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Witchcrafter Madame Veer, which is an absolutely insane boss monster. It has the ability that during damage calculation, if your spellcaster monster battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can reveal any number of spell cards with different names in your hand, and if you do, your battling monster gains 1,000 attack and defense points for each card revealed by this effect until the end of the turn, which can make your monsters absolutely massive. This card also has a second crazy quick effect that you can discard a spell card and then negate the effects of all face-up monsters that your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn, which is a really awesome effect. I then play a single copy of Witchcrafter Hane. You only really need a single copy of her in this deck, but she has a really good effect that your opponent cannot target other spellcaster monsters you control with card effects. In quick effects, you can discard a spell card and then target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. And you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. I then play a single copy of Golem Aruru. This card is a really good one-of in the deck, and it's almost a hand trap with its crazy powerful effect that when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a spellcaster monster that you control or targets it for an attack, quick effect, you can target one card that your opponent controls or a Witchcrafter spell in the graveyard and special summon this card from your hand. And if you do, return the targeted card back to the hand, and you can only use the effect of this card once per turn. And then once per turn, during your opponent's standby phase, you can return this card, or you have to return this card back to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use this card's effect over and over again. I then play 3 copies of the Witchcrafter level 4 monster. This card is a really awesome 3-up that's probably one of the best normal summons in the entire deck. And every single one of your level 4 lower Witchcrafter monsters share a common effect. That during the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute this card and then discard a spell card to special summon a Witchcrafter monster from your deck, except another copy of this card, which is a really good effect to be able to special summon out your copy of either Madame Veer or Hane, which is really cool. But this card's unique effect is that you can banish this card from the graveyard and then send any Witchcrafter card you want from your deck to the graveyard except another copy of this card, which is a really good effect. I then play 3 copies of Witchcrafter Jenny. Witchcrafter Jenny has a really awesome unique effect that if this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this card and a Witchcrafter spell card from your graveyard, and this card basically copies the effect of the Witchcrafter spell card that you banished for this card's effect, which is a super cool thing for this card to be able to do, to be able to copy the effects of cards like Holiday as a Monster Reborn, or Creation to be able to search cards from the deck. I then play a single copy of Witchcrafter Pottery. Pottery is a really good one-up in the deck, and its unique effect is you can banish this card from the graveyard to draw a card, and then send a Witchcrafter card from your hand to the graveyard, or if you don't have a Witchcrafter card to send to the graveyard, you banish your entire hand. But usually you're only going to activate this card's effect when you have a Witchcrafter card in your hand. I then play 2 copies of Magician Souls. Magician Souls is a really good 2 of the deck because when it's on the field, you can send up to 2 spells or traps from your hand to the graveyard, hand or field to the graveyard, to be able to draw that many cards, which is a really good effect to be able to just dig into the deck for really powerful cards. It also has a really easy summoning condition that if this card's in your hand, you can send a level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the graveyard to special summon this card to your side of the field, making it super easy to get this card on the field. I then play a single copy of Illusion of Chaos so we can search out Magician's Soul from the deck. This card is a really good one-up in the deck that we can actually search off of Preparation of Rites, and it's just a fantastic one-up in the deck. I'm then playing 3 copies of Cyframe Gear Gamma and a single copy of Driver. These are just fantastic hand traps to stop the opponent from hand trapping us, because usually our Witchcrafter monsters resolve off field, which means we don't have a monster on the field to be able to use our copy of Gamma, which is really good just to stop the opponent from hand trapping us when we tribute one of our level 4 or lower Witchcrafter monsters. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion is just a really good one-up to be able to summon out either Thousand-Eyes Restrict or Millennium-Eyes Restrict, which is really powerful fusion monsters that we can summon off this card. And then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. This card is just fantastic at stopping the opponent from hand-trapping us when we're going in for all of our plays. And with cards like Gamma, Called by the Grave, and even Millennium-Eyes Restrict, we play 5 different ways to stop the opponent from hand-trapping us, meaning we're usually going to get our plays to go through. I then play 2 copies of Triple Tactical Talents. Triple Tactical Talents is a really good 2-of in the deck that if your opponent activates a monster effect during your main phase this turn, you can activate one of these 3 effects to either draw 2 cards, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it and shuffle it back into the deck, which is a super good effect that we're usually going to use the effect to draw 2 cards, which is really cool just to dig into the deck for more cards in this build. I'm then playing 2 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is a really good 2-of to be able to search out our copy of Illusion of Chaos from the deck after we put it back with its own effect, which is really good because this card essentially searches Magician's Soul, which is really nice. I then play 3 copies of Witchcrafter Confusion Confession. This is the new fusion spell and has one of my favorite artworks in the entire game. I absolutely love this card. It lets us fusion summon a fusion monster from our extra deck using monsters from our hand or field as fusion material, including a Witchcrafter monster, which is super cool. And all of our Witchcrafter spell cards actually share a common effect that during your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster, while this card's in your graveyard, you can add this card back to your hand, but you can only use one effect of this card per turn, meaning if you activate this card to fusion summon, you can't add it back to hand during the end phase, which is a little bit of a downside but balances out the cards. I then play 3 copies of Witchcrafter Creation. This card is absolutely insane as a 3-up, and it's basically the Rhoda of the deck, letting you add any Witchcrafter monster from your deck to your hand. I then play 3 copies of Witchcrafter Holiday. This is the monster reborn of the deck. It lets you target a Witchcrafter monster in the graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field, which is a great effect to be able to grab any of our Witchcrafters back out of the graveyard and summon them to the field. I then play a single copy of Witchcrafter Unveiling. This card is a really good 1-of in the deck. It lets you special summon any Witchcrafter monster from your hand, and if you do, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your spellcaster monster's effects for the rest of the turn, which is a great effect to have, and this card is super good because you can add it back to hand during the end phase just like your other Witchcrafter spell cards. We then play a single copy of Witchcrafter By Street. By Street is a good 1-of in the deck, but you only need a single copy of this card in this build. It has the ability the first time each Witchcrafter monster you control would be destroyed each turn by battle or by card effect, it is not destroyed, and you can only use one of the following effects this card per turn. That if a Witchcrafter monster you control would discard to activate an effect, you can send this card from the field to the graveyard instead. And then during your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can place this card face up in your spell and trap card zone, which is a pretty good effect. I then play a single copy of Witchcrafter Scroll, which shares both the same second effects as your copy of By Street, but this card's unique effect is once per turn, when your spellcaster monster destroys a monster by battle, you can draw a card, which is a pretty good effect. I then play 3 copies of Magician's Restage. Magician's Restage is another monster reborn in this deck that has the ability you can target a level 3 or lower spellcaster monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And this effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, then you get to add a Magician Continuous spell from your deck to your hand, which is a pretty good effect. And for those cards, we're going to be playing a single copy of Magician's Right Hand, which has the ability to negate the effect of the first spell card that your opponent activates this turn while you control a spellcaster type monster, and you play a single copy of Magician's Left Hand, which does the exact same thing, but for trap cards, which is a great effect to have in this deck, to have a spell and a trap negate in this build. So that's it for the spell cards, guys, and the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of the new Witchcrafter Vice Madam. This card is absolutely insane. I love this card in the deck, and it has some really easy summoning mechanics. It has the ability that it just takes any Witchcrafter monster plus any other spellcaster type monster to make this card, and when a spell card or effect or a non-fusion spellcaster monster activates its effect, quick effects, you can activate one of these effects, but you can only activate each of these effects once per turn. You can destroy a card on the field, special summon a level level 6 or lower Witchcrafter monster from your hand or deck, or add a Witchcrafter spell or trap from your graveyard back to your hand, which is an awesome effect to have on this card. I absolutely love this card as a 2 of in the deck, but I only feel like you need 2 copies of this card because we play 3 of the fusion spell, and you're only really going to summon this card twice in a duel. I then play a single copy of Millenniumizer's Trick. This is to summon off of instant fusion. It can eat hand traps, which is why we play this card as a 1-of. Then a single copy of Thousandizer's Trick. This card is also a really good 1-of in the deck, just to be able to gobble up monsters, which is why I'm playing this card at 1 in the deck. I then play a single copy of Cyframe Lord Omega. This is really good to rip a card out of the opponent's hand. I really like this card as a 1-of in the build, and you only really need it as a 1-of because the only time we're synchro summoning into this card is if we successfully gamma the opponent. I'm then playing a single copy of Access Code Talker. This is a really good 1-of to be able to just pop cards on the field, and it gets absolutely massive. I then play a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff. This is a really good 1-of as well in the deck. 1 copy of Selene, because this card is just absolutely insane. Basically, for every spell card on the field and in both players' graveyards, this card gains spell counters on summon, and you remove 3 spell counters from this card to special summon any spellcaster monster from your hand or grave and defend position to a zone that this card points to, which is a pretty good effect to be able to do with this card. I then play a single copy of Phoenix to pop spells and traps, the Dark Charmer because it's super easy to make in this deck, 1 copy of the Fire Charmer because I feel like these are the best attributes to play of the Charmer monsters. You can play other Charmer monsters in this deck, but I feel like these are the best 2 to be able to play because we do play Fire monsters in this deck, and it's pretty easy to make the copy of the Dark Charmer as well, and your opponent's probably going to be playing Ash Blossom, so the copy of the Dark Charmer will come up, and the copy of the Fire Charmer, or the copy of the Dark Charmer, does come up quite a lot as well. I then play a single copy of Cyframe Lord Lambda, because we are playing Gamma and Driver in this deck. This card is just really good overall in this particular build, because it makes your copy of your Gamma live all the time, which is really nice. 1 copy of IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is really good to be able to make Unicorn during the opponent's turn. Artemis, because it's just a fantastic Link monster overall for any spellcaster deck. And finally, a single copy of Link because we do play level 1s in the deck, and you can make it with your copy of either Millenniumize or Thousandized, which is really, really cool. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a super fun deck to be able to play. If you guys have never played Witchcrafter before, you definitely should give this deck a try, especially now that we have Vice Madam, which is just absolutely crazy. That card is so good in the deck, and just such a cool boss monster for this particular archetype. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.